Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier. The fiber highway is getting faster in Cincinnati. We'll tell you about Cincinnati Bell's grand gigabit plan. New homes bring new interest to Cincinnati's West Side. And do you envy that person at work who always looks put together? We'll tell you how to get that look. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Peg Rasconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, Cincinnati is now one of just a handful of cities to offer blazing fast gigabit internet service. And Cincinnati Bell is leading the way. Think of it as Bell's speed test. Gigabit is the latest offering from Cincinnati Bell as it morphs from a telephone firm into a tech power player. Bell's chief technology officer says gigabit is like expanding a 10-lane highway into a 1,000-lane highway.
If you think about lanes on a highway, an average car can use one lane on a highway, and if there are multiple cars on a one-lane highway, it jams up. If we were to attribute that to a gig can be attributed to hundreds of lanes on a highway that can take simultaneous cars without jamming up.
To a new generation of high-tech businesses and advanced manufacturers, the pipes that carry the internet have been just as important as the roadways and waterways that carry goods. And it's not just tech companies that can benefit from gigabit. The speed enables more efficient cloud computing for all businesses. The installation process is underway, and Cincinnati Bell hopes to have the service available to 75% of Greater Cincinnati over the next 2 years. The cost starts at $90 per month. For more on the impact, be sure to read that full story in the print edition. A federal judge in Cincinnati has rejected a request by Christ Hospital to dismiss a whistleblower lawsuit. It alleges about $28 million in unsubstantiated claims were submitted to Medicare to train new doctors. The payments allegedly involve some doctors who rotated into Christ for training from 2007 to 2012, while also working as residents at several other local hospitals, so that lawsuit could expand. A Christ Hospital spokesman said the nonprofit health network does not comment on pending litigation. The Foundation for the St. Elizabeth Healthcare Hospital System, based in northern Kentucky, is getting a new chairman. Bob Hoffer, who heads the Employment Law Division of Dressman, Benzinger & Lavelle, one of the largest law firms in Greater Cincinnati, will become the foundation's chairman in 2016. For the next year, he will serve as chairman-elect. Raising funds for St.E.'s Heart Vascular Institute is an important goal for the foundation.
The community will benefit because through the Heart and Vascular Institute, there will be educational facilities and programs provided to our schools to teach the kids, to teach the families about living heart healthy, to try to stop the growth of cardiac disease in our community.
As a lawyer, Hoffer has represented hospitals and doctors for more than 30 years on employment and medical negligence issues. St. Elizabeth Healthcare is the largest employer in northern Kentucky with more than 7,200 workers. When it comes to crossing the river into Kentucky, should trucks be banned from the Brent Spence Bridge to minimize further deterioration? The Ohio-Kentucky-Indiana Regional Council of Governments looked at the idea of diverting out-of-town truck traffic to Interstate 275 and around the Brent Spence Bridge back in 2007. It concluded that while a truck ban would help traffic on the bridge, it would make it worse elsewhere. A big issue for OKI is the cost to the trucking industry. Their study indicates trucks using alternative routes would travel an additional 5.5 miles and spend $5 million per year. Business Courier reporter Chris Wetterick takes a new look at bridge traffic in this week's issue. He joins editor Rob Dahlmeyer in the studio with an update on the bridge that continues to be one of the biggest and most important transportation issues as we begin 2015. Chris and Rob.
Peg, thanks very much. Chris, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Brent Spence Bridge, it's a story that just never ends.
Yeah, it's never going away.
Just like the bridge itself, it just won't go away. But why is OKI? Give us a little bit more information about why they think the idea of taking all the heaviest, biggest traffic off of that bridge and routing it around it doesn't work.
Well, the study that they did looked at, gave several possibilities. One was for traffic to go around 275 on either side. The other was, the other possibility that they looked at was, what if we ban traffic from the bridge and allow it to go onto the Big Mac Bridge? And so all three of those were in the mix in their study. And what they discovered was people naturally would take the Big Mac Bridge. It's a little bit farther. That's where the 5 miles comes into place. Most people would not choose to go around on 275. So they basically determined that it would really stress the Big Mac Bridge out and increase traffic accidents there and traffic in general there. So that was their main objection to it.
So for people who aren't following in detail every last twist and turn of the Brent Spence saga, where does it stand right now?
The eye this year is going to be on Northern Kentucky's legislature. They need to, in order to do the plan that they have now, which is a $2.6 billion replacement of both the bridge and to widen the highway on both sides of the bridge, they need to pass something called a 3P bill, which stands for Public-Private Partnership, and that would allow them to implement that $2.6 billion plan to replace the bridge. So they're going to be looking to the Northern Kentucky legislature to do that this year in order to move this project along.
Well, in Northern Kentucky, though, Kentucky has been a stalling point here. Is the opposition in Kentucky as strong as it has been?
I actually think it's strengthening. I mean, you had the Chamber of Commerce over there come out in favor of tolling on the bridge last year, but then you had another group come up called Northern Kentucky United, and that's composed of a group of people. It's an interesting group. It's got Democrats and also Tea Party people who are in Northern Kentucky, and they are united in opposing tolls, so they will probably try to block this 3P legislation this year.
Well, Chris, thanks for being here. It was an interesting read, and I'm sure you'll have more on that story for the next couple of decades.
Yeah,
thanks. Back to you, Peg.
All right, thanks, Rob and Chris. Well, out on the west side, transformation of the former Hillview Golf Course into a 238-home community in Green Township is underway. Site work has started on Greenshire Commons, a master plan community that will have 4 different housing options. In total, the new residential community is expected to be a $75 million development. MI Homes of Cincinnati is developing part of the site. The company says it hasn't developed on the west side in quite a while, and the project is getting a lot of interest.
Its location within the Oak Hill school system is fabulous, along with the fact that it's within the I-74 loop in close proximity to downtown and shopping and medical facilities.
Construction on MI Homes model is expected to start in June and be finished in September or October. About 100 people have already contacted MI Homes with interest in that community. Bank loans aren't always easy to come by, which is why a 3-year-old Cincinnati asset-based business lender is booming. The lender is called Alliance, and it has provided $45 million in credit loans and lines of credit since it got its start nearly 3 years ago.
That doesn't necessarily mean that it's not a good business. It's just that the banks have financial restrictions that we don't. We're very focused on collateral, where banks will have a tendency to be a little bit more focused on the strength of the balance sheet or the cash flow or the guarantors. We focus on the collateral.
Alliance targets companies ranging from $5 million to $75 million in revenue. Companies typically borrow from Alliance for working capital at amounts ranging from $500,000 to $7 million. A new business is now open in Hyde Park Square. J-Bar Pizzeria is the new upscale pizza restaurant on Hyde Park Square from the owners of O'Brien's Irish Pub in O'Brienville.
We decided on the concept based off of what we thought was an underserved market in the square. Pizza is done well typically in Cincinnati, and we thought that the space and the square would allow for good growth and a sustainable restaurant business.
J-Bar builds itself as healthier than the average pizza place. Think kale on a pizza. And everything from the dough to the sauces are prepared fresh in-house. A local woman turned her flair for style into a really cool business. We all know someone at work like Nora Fink.
I got started in styling mainly because I was the best dressed, most happy, fun-loving person at every company I worked at.
After getting her start as a buyer at Bloomingdale's in New York and years of doing favors for friends at work, Fink, a Xavier University graduate, returned to Cincinnati and eventually started her own personal styling business. She helps assess what clients have that works in their closets and what they need to enhance their style.
And where we go shopping is based on several things. What the client actually needs in their wardrobe, their budget, their shopping budget, and then whether they would like to go with us shopping or not. Women typically want to go shopping with us. Men typically want us to bring it all to them.
Many of Fink's connections come from styling leaders at P&G or running workshops for the company's employees. This is a really fun and fascinating business by Business Courier reporter Aaron Caproni. Be sure to read the full story online or in the print edition. Well, up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, today is your last chance to get in on an auction of some unique items in one of the most expensive home sales in Greater Cincinnati. And lots of development news is drawing readers to the Business Courier website. We'll tell you what's happening where. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on the Business Courier website and social media sites. Eastgate Station is rebranding and has announced a new-to-market tenant for the development. The Boca Raton-based developer announced that Gordman's department store will be located at the center, which is being rebranded as 32 East. The development is located on State Route 32. No word on when Gordman's will open. The closure of a huge paper mill across the street from this development in Oakley offers a chance for more new development at the site. Rock 10 Company closed its Cincinnati mill in November. The 5-acre site, which is across the street from the boulevard at Oakley Station Apartments, is now being marketed for sale. At this point, there's no set price for the property. And in Anderson, they're getting ready to welcome a luxury dine-in movie theater. Carmike Cinemas plans to open at Anderson Town Center. Construction should start mid-year if all goes as planned, and it will be one of only a handful of theaters like this in the country. And did you get a chance to bid on items for sale inside River High, one of Cincinnati's priciest and most well-known homes? The Hyde Park home recently sold for more than $3.2 million. Its unique contents are up for public auction, but bidding ends today at 4:10 p.m., so be sure to check out the Business Courier website to see what's up for auction and how you can still get in on the action. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, we're talking interest rates. Will they go down or up or stay the same as the new year gets underway? U.S. Bank Vice President and Senior Portfolio Manager Mike Denneman joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio now with the latest on interest rates. Guys?
Thanks, Peg. Hi, Mike.
Good morning.
So interest rates, one of our other favorite topics
Right.
next to gas prices. So talk a little bit about where we stand right now.
Sure. So, it's no secret that we've got historically low interest rates and really have had them for several years now, going back to the financial crisis. And so at the time, this was the Federal Reserve's method for helping us to avoid the worst case scenario during the crisis, and then of course to help the economy recover from the recession that followed. So essentially they took short-term rates to zero, and then more recently have been using the so-called quantitative easing to help keep rates low. And so that's worked to some degree. Clearly the economy has recovered nicely. Certainly the stock market has got back on track. But you reach a point in time where you have to consider pushing rates higher again. And I think that's the juncture that we've reached today.
So yeah, the Fed is pushing to increase the rates, correct? And will they give in to that pressure?
Well, and so it's a tightrope really that they're walking right now. They run the risk if you push rates high too soon, that will derail the recovery. On the other hand, if you leave rates too low for too long, you can hurt the economy that way as well. So really it's about finding that optimal time to make the move. And truth be told, a year ago at this time, consensus was that 2014 would be the year that rates went higher. The economy was doing well. It looked as if it were a prime opportunity, but clearly the Fed felt differently. They didn't act last year, and in fact we closed 2014 with some interest rates actually lower than where they started the year. So they kind of kicked the can down the road, but as we sit here now 12 months later, the economy is doing even better. It's hard to see how they get through 2015 without making some kind of move.
Yeah, so it's a real balancing act is what they're...
Exactly.
So we trust you, Mike. What's the outlook? Give us your best outlook.
Well, so now the debate comes down to, okay, if the consensus is they will be raising rates, when does it actually happen? And so the Fed has always played it very close to the vest when they make their public announcements. They talk in cryptic language, and there are a lot of pundits who make a living trying to read the tea leaves of what the Fed is actually trying to tell us. So there are some saying that it could come as early as March, but I think the more conventional wisdom is that maybe late second quarter, early third quarter, so I think that's probably more likely. But one thing we do know is that whenever they get around to acting, it's not going to be a dramatic move upward. They're on record saying they're going to be very gradual, they're going to take it slow, which is good. That's, I think, wise. But, so it's not so much of, how much will they do, but when they actually get around to doing it. So we'll be focused this year on how strong are the economic numbers coming in, and how quickly does that force the Fed's hand.
Okay, sounds great. We know that you will watch that for us, and we appreciate all that you and U.S. Bank do.
Thanks. We'll keep you posted.
All right. Thanks, Mike. Peg, back to you.
All right, great information. Thanks, Kelly and Mike. And still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, honoring women in Northern Kentucky for not only succeeding, but giving back. And congratulations to John Salisbury, founder and principal of Nexogen, another of our 40 under 40 honorees. And by the way, his first job was a sand volleyball referee. In this morning's Business Insight, the Women's Initiative of the Northern Kentucky Chamber of Commerce was created to inspire area business women in Northern Kentucky and Greater Cincinnati to connect, grow, and achieve. The Women's Initiative's Spirit of Achievement Award honors women who have made a significant impact on the community through their own success and their impact on the community. The breakfast to announce and honor this year's recipients is coming up on Wednesday, January 28th at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center. To preview the event and tell us more about the work of the initiative, Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith is joined by two active members, Kamala Barrier with the law firm Coors and Bassett, and Susan Topmiller with the Kenton County Attorney's Office. Jamie.
Thanks, Peg. Ladies, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
We're going to talk about the breakfast here in just a minute, but before we get to the breakfast, talk a little bit about the initiative itself. Why it got started, when it got started, how it's growing.
Thank you. The initiative got started, was kind of born out of the executives at the Northern Kentucky Chamber really felt that there needed to be a women's organization. And they approached Debbie Simpson and Suzanne Lorch, and they were kind of a little nervous about that, and that there are several women's organizations in the region, and they didn't really feel that was a necessity. So they ended up doing a focus group, and were very surprised at the reaction that they got. And these women definitely felt that we needed a women's organization in the region, but geared towards the career and professional growth.
Okay, so the three connections, or the three elements, I guess: connect, businesswomen achieve, and businesswomen grow. Talk about what are those three different elements?
Well, really, the connect is about how women can connect with each other on a professional level. We have several things we do with that. We have a monthly happy hour, which is great because it's a relaxed social setting that women can connect with each other. No sales solicitation. It's really just to build your network. Talk about your job, what's working, what's not working, and just to get out there and meet people, meet other businesswomen, professionals.
Like yourself.
Yeah, and then part of that, we also have our annual golf outing, which women just love. It's a great way, again, to network and get to know one another and have a little bit of fun. We had over 100 women this year. This past June, we'll be doing it again this summer. And then our Shore to Shore event that we have, which is usually in July every year, we want to make sure that we're connecting, Northern Kentucky women, but also women in Cincinnati too.
Great.
We don't want to make sure that the river, is a barrier there. We need to all be
keep
working
that separation
together.
out of the way, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, let's get a little bit talking about the breakfast. I know it's a sellout every year. I mean, you guys have been very proud of that, which you should be. What should attendees look for this year? What's going to make this one bigger and better than ever?
I think that it's the reaction that we get from year to year, honestly. I think the energy in the room, we have so many attendees. The networking, we're starting a half hour earlier this year than we have in the past because women said that there just wasn't enough time prior to the breakfast to really talk to everybody that's there. It's grown by leaps and bounds every year. We had 600 last year. We had 500 the year prior to that. The goal this year is 700. It sells out every single solitary year. I think it's the dynamics of the group and the networking of the women, coming together. But I also think that the speakers, and we try to kind of change that up so it's not kind of the same from year to year. Last year we had Dory Clark, and she really kind of came and talked to the audience about your personal brand and why that's important, and how you kind of create that and how you manage that. And this year we have Linda Rotenberg coming, who is the author of Crazy as a Compliment, and she's also the CEO and co-founder of Endeavor. And with entrepreneurialism being such a hot topic in our region right now, both on the Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky sides, we really found that to be kind of a really good opportunity for us to help other business women who are interested or have that crazy idea that they really want to try to take to the next level. I think Linda will really come in and help us kind of channel that inner crazy.
Well, that's great. Well, we're going to have the information on the screen as far as registration, but we've got a speaker, we've got networking, and then we have awards. So it's a lot packed into one breakfast, isn't it?
And we've already had over 500 people registered for this event, and so in just a couple weeks we'll sell out. So go to the website and register.
Not being a woman, I guess we men can come as well, right?
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you bring that up because we have more and more men coming to the event every year, and at the end of the event they were like, wow.
Yeah.
And they come back, and more men come the following year.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Well, that's powerful. Well, thank you guys for taking time out of your busy schedules, not only for being here, but for chairing this event, because it takes volunteers like you to make Northern Kentucky Chamber do what they do, and we appreciate it. And thanks for being here today.
Thank you.
All right, good luck.
Thanks.
Peg, back to you.
All right, thanks. Sounds like a great event. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, you can visit the Business Courier online and sign up for daily emails and follow on Twitter and Facebook. The address is cincinnatibusinesscourier.com. I'm Peg Rasconi. Have a great Sunday.